There I am. Hey, everybody. Um, so I'm just going to talk about the pre-release. It was a lot of fun. I went last night to the midnight one and was super tired and slept way too long today and didn't have time to come talk to everybody until about now. I had meant to come say something way earlier, but oh well. I'm just going to go over like what you get, how cool it is, and some of the cards. And I didn't feel like I had a very good pre-release pool. I had some good rares, but all in a lot of different colors, and I'm not going to try and play 5-color good stuff. So I just went with a red-black kind of aggro mono 3/3s for 3 strategy. And it was a lot of fun, had a blast, met fun people, pre-release stuff. If you've never been to a pre-release before, you should check them out. They're always a week before a set comes out. Go to your LGS, ask them about it. It's a ton of fun. You just play a sealed pool, and it is awesome. So when you go to the Magic one, the Shadows of Ringshot, you get this cool box, which I'm going to actually zoom in on in a minute. And that way. And it is got Chase on it. It has a little slidey deal. Comes out, and it's a little like journal package thing, like Tameo's journal. I'm going to move this down so we can all see. There we go. Okay, so here it is. Oops, again. When you open it, it has a spin down life counter or a D20 or whatever you want to call it with the little set symbol, and 6 booster packs, which of course I already opened, and a special foil promo card with the date of the pre-release, and it is nice. Whoop, there we go. Get so the glare's not on it. There we go. Engulf the Shore was my promo card. I did not play it. I did not play blue. I had thought about it. So I do a lot. I learned a lot from watching limited resources and stuff, and I went through kind of what they do for, or at least Marshall does. I broke it up into 5 colors, and then I organized them into cards I want to play a lot, cards I think are decent, cards I think are duds, and the 2 color winners that came out were black-red, but I'm going to talk real quick about some of the rares I got in some of the other just cool cards I got in some of the other colors that kind of made me want to play them, but I wasn't able to. So, first off, in white, I got a card I can't find. Let's see. Okay, I got Bygone Bishop, which this is a card for 2 and a white. It's flying. Whenever you cast a creature spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, you investigate, which is just kind of cool. It's a 2/3 flyer for 3, so it passes the vanilla test, and also it has a nice little mini upside. Then I also got Always Watching, right here. That is 1 and 2 white, and non-token creatures you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance, which is really cool. I actually think there's going to be like a white weenie deck in standard that's going to use that. And then the other really cool white card I got was Angelic Purge, which is a sorcery at 2 and a white, and you sacrifice a permanent you control, and you get to just exile an artifact, creature, or enchantment. It's pretty sweet. I also got Inspiring Captain. He's 3 and a white. He's like Empyrean Tactician from Origins. And that was pretty much the top end of white that I got, really. I wasn't too psyched with a lot of the white cards I had received. I really wanted green to be good because I had a bunch of good red cards, and I felt like they kind of went well together. But really, the only good green card I even got was Howlpack Resurgence, which is an enchantment with flash. It's 2 and a green. All your wolves and werewolves get +1/+1. So it's just an anthem effect for werewolves. Everything else I got in green was just kind of lousy. It was not very good. Let's see. I got Bupkis and Artifacts for the most part. The only one I really liked was Harvest Hand, which it's just a creature when it dies, it turns into an equipment. Okay, blue was the color I probably would have played had I not played black. I had some cards that I just thought were really cool, like Pour Over the Pages, see, put that there. There we go. That is 3 blue for a sorcery card. Let's draw 3 cards, untap 2 lands, then discard a card, which I thought was pretty cool. Helps for madness, which a lot of my red cards had madness. Sleep Paralysis, which is pretty nice. It's an enchantment for 3 and a blue, and target creature taps, it doesn't untap. So it's like Claustrophobia, kind of. And then I also got this Epiphany at the Drown Yard, and knocked my deck over. Epiphany at the Drown Yard, which is reveal the top X +1 cards of your library, separate them into 2 piles. An opponent chooses 1, you put that pile into your hand and the other in your graveyard. That was kind of cool. And really, that was it. But I liked those cards enough that I had thought about playing it seriously, and I didn't knock my deck down. I just knocked some extra lands down. But didn't end up going that direction, which is fine. Alright, now, let's see. Should have sorted this before I went live, but, you know, stuff happens. This video will also be going up on YouTube after this, so if you didn't make it, or you want to rewatch it, or whatever, it's going to be there. So, I went with red and black, obviously, since those are the 2 colors I haven't stated. I went very aggressive, but I also had some interesting late game stuff built in. So, we're going to just start at the black cards. So starting off my curve, I had this Indulgent Aristocrat. He is 1 black for a 1/1 lifelink. And he has pay 2 of any color. And sacrifice a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control. He's a pretty neat little card. Turn it that way. Kind of like, always has threat of activation up. And the lifelink can be relevant late game, and I have a lot of ways to recur creatures, so it was kind of nice because I had a card that I didn't get punished for using his ability. Let's see, I also had this Asylum Visitor. Let's put that closer to the camera. She is 1 and a black for a creature, Vampire Wizard. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, if that player has no cards in hand, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. She also has Madness for 1 and a black, which is kind of cool. She's a vampire, so she works well with the Indulgent Aristocrat. She gets counter on her if he sacrifices something. She's also a 3/1, which is a pretty good blocker for 2 mana. You can usually trade up just for 2 mana, especially if you can Madness her in as the cost to something else, like discard a card, Madness her in at instant speed, and then take out something big. See, I had Ghoul Caller's Accomplice, which was a pretty nice little card. It's just a 1 and a black for a 2/2, Human Rogue. It also has pay 3 and a black, exile it from your graveyard, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield, which was kind of nice because you can only use that as a sorcery though. But so I could play this and do stuff with it, and then sacrifice it to the Aristocrat to put counters on everything, and then the next turn I could just, boop, you know, have a zombie, which was nice. Because I could sack it into speed, then next turn use my mana for this. Definitely was not the worst way I used mana. Let's see, show some more creatures. Okay. This is my first flip card that I'm going to show you guys. I had the Accursed Witch. It's a 4/2 for 4 and a black. She's a human shaman. Spells your opponent controls, or casts, I should say, that target this cost 1 less. When Accursed Witch dies, though, it flips, and this is one of the weirder interactions in this set, to Infectious Curse, which becomes an enchantment that you control, but is attached to your opponent. And basically, at the beginning of their upkeep, they lose 1, you gain 1. This kept me in some games that I maybe had no business winning, and actually won a couple, one game, really, for me. It's pretty nice. Nifty little card. And a 4/2 for 4 is not great, but when you're trying to have it die, you just turn it sideways every turn, and they're incentivized not to block it, or they get this weird enchantment on them that they find pretty hard to remove. Alright, and then the top end of my creature curve, not the best, but I'm aggro, so I was low curve for the most part, is a Ghoul Steed. It's a 4/4 for 4. or 4/4 for 4 and a black. Yes, it's a vampire horse. No, zombie horse. Pay 2 and a black, discard 2 cards, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it worked okay with the Indulgent Aristocrat. I could just sack it if I needed to, if it was getting killed or something like that. And then I could bring it back, use its ability, and then maybe Madness something. Also, I would often have plenty of extra lands I didn't need, so I was able to discard those. Well, those are my creatures in black. Alright, starting at the bottom of my non-creature spell curve, I have Sinister Concoction, or as I have deemed it, the Hokey Pokey. It is 1 black enchantment. It has an activated cost of pay a black, pay 1 life, put the top card of your library into your graveyard, and then discard a card, and then Sinister Concoction destroys target creature. Which is a lot of steps to go through to destroy something, but it's cool. It only has 1 black activation. It's a really good Madness outlet. Plus you get to kill something. I was a fan of this card actually, even though it has a bunch of ridiculous goofy steps. And then I had a couple cards in my deck that really I didn't bother if certain things got put in the graveyard, especially creatures. I was totally fine with it. Vessel of Malignity is a 1 black enchantment with a 1 black activation cost. It's kind of a theme here. The vessels, there's 1 in each color. So, you sacrifice Vessel of Malignity, target opponent exiles 2 cards from their hand, which, to note, it does not trigger Madness, because it's not discard, it's exile. And you can only use it as a sorcery, so they kind of see it coming, but at the same time, like, if they have 2 cards in hand, they really don't have a choice. So it's not bad. You can play it, on turn 2 if you have nothing to do, or you can just play it on turn 4 and activate it right away. So it's not the worst thing ever. My only combat trick in my deck is Grotesque Mutation. It's 1 and a black, and target creature gets +3/+1 and gains lifelink until end of turn. Really, honestly, in a lot of ways, this was the 22nd, 23rd card. I just needed to fill out the spots, but also I actually like this. It can get pretty swingy. You get a decent life swing out of it. You put it on my deck's mostly 3/3s, and even if your 3/3 still dies, you're gaining 6 life that turn. I actually surprise killed the Sorin out of nowhere with this and the Voldaren Duelist, which is pretty cool. But I'll tell you, Sorin, he does his damage and it's done. Alright, next we have Giss's Bidding, which is a sorcery for 2 and 2 black. And it is put 2 2/2 black zombie creatures onto the battlefield, which is nice. They're sacrifice fodder, they're block fodder, whatever. It also has Madness for 2 and a black, which is cheaper, but I can also activate it at instant speed and get 2 blockers out of nowhere, which is a lot of fun. They're sack fodder, they're blocking fodder. Also, I have 1 Anthem effect in here that made them pretty hard to deal with. They were just nice cards. And then at my 5-drop spot, I have Throttle. It's 4 and a black removal. It's a reprint, but it's still a cool card, I guess, for limited. Just target creature gets -4/-4. It's nice because it gets around indestructible. And there's a couple things in this set that give stuff indestructible. It's a pretty much strictly worse Grasp of Darkness, but that's okay. It is also a common. Grasp of Darkness is not. Alright, and at 4 and 2 black sorcery, I have Ever After, which is put 2 target creature cards from your graveyard onto the battlefield. Each of those creatures is a black zombie in addition to its other types. Then you put this on the bottom of your library, which it's like, in limited, you don't have that many ways to shuffle your card. But it works in concert fantastically with my 1 mythic I got, which is illustrated by Noah Bradley. And if you've watched my stream, you know that all of my decks pretty much have Noah Bradley lands. And when I play Paper Magic, the same is true. I always use Noah Bradley lands. So From Beyond is 5 and 2 black. It is a sorcery. And I'm trying to get to where the glare is off so you can see this wonderful artwork. There we go. It is... So you discard your hand. Most times when I played this, it's 7-drop. I had no cards in my hand. Or I had a land and I just played out the land. So it was... Never had a problem. You search your library for 3 cards. You put those cards in your hand. And then you shuffle your library. So even though I put the Ever After on the bottom, I could still go get it. What I would often do is I would look for Ever After, an Accursed Witch or my Ghoul Steed, something I didn't mind putting in my graveyard, or that was big that I would like to put in my graveyard that the Ever After could get back next turn. And I would play this on turn 8, and I would get a Lightning Axe. I have 1 Lightning Axe in my deck. And I would Lightning Axe something, discard the other card, and so then Ever After I could just bring it back next turn. it was pretty nice. It actually won me a game. Another game, it bought me some time against a Soren, but I got to tell you, Soren is a beast, and he just closes out games. It is something else. So I'm going to go over my red cards now. And I actually had some really good red cards that I really liked, and pretty much it was like I am playing red and something. I'd come to that point pretty early on, actually. And I have a lot of 3/3s for 3 or 3/2s for 3. So that is most of what this is. I'm going to go in order like I did last time by converted mana cost. And pile these black cards up right here. Okay. So first off, we have for 1 and a red, we have a Gibbering Fiend. It's a 2/1 Fiend. Whenever it enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to your opponent. It has Delirium at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep. If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, deals 1 damage to them. I never actually triggered Delirium with this guy, but a 2/1 for 2, he did his job. He usually got some beats in, and he, every time, no matter what, he at least dealt a damage when he entered the table. So it was pretty cool. I liked him. Gibbering Fiend was a good card. Next, I had Gyre Reach Bandit, and man, this card is good. So it's a 2 and a red for a 3/2 with haste. It's a human rogue werewolf. Has the werewolf claws, and as Frank Lepore pointed out on his podcast, it sounds like you're saying werewolf claws, but you actually mean werewolf claws. Yeah, it's a funny pun. Anyway, so at the beginning of your upkeep, at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player did not cast a spell this turn, you transform it. What was cool about Gyre Reach Bandit is since it had haste, it could just get in on turn 3 if they didn't have a good play or anything like that. But also you could hold it in your hand if you really wanted to and just have a really explosive turn with like the combat trick or something like that. So Gyre Reach Bandit was pretty cool. Well, when it flips, it becomes the Vilden Pack Alpha right here, which is a 4/3. And whenever a werewolf enters the battlefield under your control, you may transform it, which is pretty awesome. And this was one of those things that when it was on the table, everybody just wanted to kill it. So it at least pulled a lot of removal, if nothing else, which was pretty nice. Funnily enough, I think I only had one other werewolf in this deck, so it was kind of hilarious that people kept trying to kill it. Yeah, one other werewolf. And here he is right here. So, Breakneck Rider. This is uncommon. I actually really like this card. It's 2 red and 1 any color. It is a human scout werewolf, and he has the werewolf claws. So you transform him if nobody casts a spell. He is a 3/3. When he transforms, and this is what I like about it, well, it's a 3/3 for 3, so that's good all on its own. But the transform side is great because all attacking creatures you control get +1/+0 and have trample, which is super cool. He, like the Gyre Reach Bandit, also have the werewolf claws that if somebody casts 2 or more spells, at the next upkeep you transform him back, which never happened. I never had a guy who was transformed to go back. I did have guys who are transformed just get murderlated. They are removal fodder once they flip. But I will tell you, flipping into some 4/3s, and then he's essentially a 5/3 whenever you swing with him, and he has trample, and pumping your whole team like that is great. In an aggro shell, he does damage. Especially if your opponent has just one off turn. Like you play him on turn 3 and they don't have a play, then next turn you're coming in for some beats usually. But that's when you quick outplay your Gyre Reach Bandit. Or this next card was already on the table a lot of times, which is Howlpack Wolf. I have 3 of these in my deck. They're a 3/3 for 3. They're a creature wolf. It's 2 in a red for the 3, but it can't block unless you have another wolf or werewolf. Well, I have 1, 2, 3 of them. So that's 3 wolves right there. And then my 2 werewolves, as previously mentioned. So I had 5 wolves, and you know what? I was turning them sideways most of the time anyways. I think I never blocked with them, to be perfectly honest. I just turned them sideways. So mono 3/3s for 3. That's 5 right there. Alright, then I had this Voldaren Duelist. He's a 3/2 for 4. Vampire and Warrior. He has haste, which is nice. And then Voldaren Duelist enters the battlefield. Target creature can't block this turn. So a lot of times if, say, they only had like a small creature, or they did have one big creature, and I had a good turn through where I played my Breakneck Rider, and then he flipped. I could play Voldaran Duelist and just get in. I had one hand where my hand was literally a Gibbering Fiend, a Duelist, and a Breakneck Rider, and all lands. And I didn't draw anything that wasn't a land for the rest of the game, and I still won just because I came out of the gate so fast and sealed, and they just really didn't have any good answers. So it was pretty good. All right, next we have, I skipped one, but that's okay. Blood Mad Vampire, which is 2 and a red. Whenever Blood Mad Vampire deals damage to a opponent, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. It also has Madness for 1 and a red. It's a 4/1, not the best. Can die to a lot of things, but with the Indulgent Aristocrat, I could put counters on this thing and make it pretty mean. Also, it was like, surprise, blocker, with the Madness. Or sometimes it would be I activated something and killed their creature, and then I popped this guy in at the end step, and then the next turn I just swung in for a bunch of damage. So that did happen, and was pretty cool. Alright, next I've got Incorrigible Youths, which is 3 red, and is a vampire for 4/3 with haste, but it has Madness of 2 and a red, which was nice. Use the Sinister Concoction, kill something, Madness this out, and just smash face with it. It's pretty great, especially with Breakneck Rider on the table. Made it even better. And then non-creature spells, I just had a Lightning Axe for 1 red. It is Lightning Axe. You have to discard a card, or it costs 5 in a red. So yeah, you're discarding a card and you're madnessing something. Usually you could Lightning Axe and then Incorrigible Use, or Lightning Axe and get out your Blood Mad Vampire or something like that with your madness. It's pretty cool. I one time Madness the Asylum Visitor so that I had no cards in hand, and then was able to draw an extra card the next upkeep. That was pretty nice. It just worked well on the deck, plus it's a great removal spell, pretty cheap, especially when discarding cards does not bother you, as you can easily bring any creature back with this, or I had the horse thing that could bring itself back. That was pretty nice. So yeah, Lightning Axe is fun. And then I had, last but not least, Malevolent Whispers, which is 3 and a red for a sorcery. You gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And then you give it back, obviously. But it also has Madness for 3 and a red. Same Madness cost, but you can cast it instant speed, which is nice. I actually never did this. I just used it as a sorcery speed blowout. Somebody would play something big or crazy, and I would be like, well, I'm not going to block that, so I'm just going to snag it and smash in for a ton of damage. I went 2 and 2. Didn't do great. Match 2, I got to tell you, I came up against a guy who had a Sorin, and the first game, he didn't draw Sorin, and I was able to just crush him flat. The second game, he played it on turn 6 and completely took the game over with it, and I had no chance of winning against him. The third game, I was on the road to victory, and Sorin came in and just stole it from me. Like, I had the game won. Sorin came in, blew up my biggest threat, gained him a bunch of life, stabilized his board, and it just took over games. So, as we already, I guess, knew, Sorin's super powerful in Limited. He's also pretty powerful in Constructed, I imagine. I guess we'll see that soon. New standard, changes next week. I played 17 lands. I did a 9-8 split, 9 going to mountains, because I had double red cards early, and the only double black cards I had were 4 drops or higher. So I did that. But my third match, I had mana problems, which happens in Limited. The game 1, I drew nothing but lands. I had a 3-lander to start the game, and then I just drew lands for the next 7 turns. And so I had 4 spells, and they all got cast, and they didn't do much of anything for me. And then game 2, I had a 3-lander again, but it was all black sources, and I was like, psh, I'll draw a mountain. I've got enough in this deck, and I, of course, did not draw a single mountain the entire game and ended up losing with a handful of red cards. Happens. That's Limited. So I hope that you guys liked this cool little demonstration thing, whatever you want to call it, for Sealed. If you would like me to do this kind of stuff again, no problem. If you think it's boring and whatever, leave a comment on the YouTube, and, maybe, maybe not. Pre-releases don't come around that often. They're about every 3 months now. They changed the system of how this all works for the releases and for the sets. But once you get kind of in the groove of things, as they say, I suppose, it's easy to change stuff around or whatever. But the new release schedule I like, because I like doing pre-releases a lot, and I like them coming out sooner. I also like the way the blocks are organized now. It's really interesting. You have a lot more standard rotating, which is okay. I mean, it makes your standard decks cost more in the end. You got to keep changing them. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do this standard. I think I'm going to stick probably with like a ramp strategy. I'm definitely a fan of those. I like to play Tron in Modern and ramp, but I think I might actually end up focusing a little bit more on Modern here pretty soon. I'm in the process right now of building a Soulflare Vengevine Dredgy deck and a Dredgevine deck, just so those may show up on the stream here sooner rather than later. I've also been working on the Goblin Charbelcher deck, so that may come out in Modern as well. Not just me, some of the other guys I believe are also going to Grand Prix Albuquerque, which is April 15th, 16th, and 17th. It is Shadows over Innistrad sealed, so it's a lot of what I just showed you guys, which will be a ton of fun, I hope. I really love sealed, limited in general. So if you're there, say hi. I might or might not be wearing a Tap for Tilt t-shirt, which I might or might not have in the works soon. Oh well. But anyways, Shadows over Innistrad I think is going to be a super fun draft format. So look for us to be probably drafting that a lot on stream. It looks like it's going to be a blast. I'm really excited. I'm going to try and stream more regularly. I've had a lot of work problems lately, so I haven't been able to. But hopefully we get all this stuff settled out, and we can get me and a couple of the guys in to stream more. So it'll be a lot of fun. I highly encourage you to go to pre-release events and release events. My LGS, I don't know if yours is, are doing release drafts. So go hit that up. It should be a ton of fun. Limited is always great, and the Shadows format seems really, really interesting. There's a lot of different kind of strategies and builds and all sorts of fun stuff for Limited. I think I'm going to just call this stream here and maybe hop on a little later and play something standard Modern. Maybe some Demonic Pact. I'm really looking forward to Shadows for Demonic Pact deck. I think it's going to be able to make my blue-black Pact deck really good. I also think it's going to make my black-white one more viable. Some of the removal in this set that's white is insane. Like the Turn to Stone or whatever that one, the one white exile a creature and all copies of that creature. Your opponent investigates for each non-token creature, which non-token is the biggest word on that card right there. I mean, if you're playing against an army of zombie tokens or goblin tokens, you just hit one of them, they're all gone. It's amazing. So I'm really excited about Shadows and the impact it's going to make on Standard. I'm also super excited about drafting Shadows. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm also excited about sealed leagues for Shadows. Since Magic Online has sealed leagues now, we will probably play a couple of those. Just keep tuned. Like I said, I'm going to try and stream more in the future, at least once a week. And even if it's just gobbledygook like this or talking about different decks, I'm going to come on. Hopefully, weekly we're going to have where we sit and talk like this, the Tap for Talk show, which is right up in this right-hand corner by our weird little friendly table flipper guy. So, like I said, hopefully we'll have once a week stuff. If not, then every 2 weeks we'll have where More Than Me comes, sits, and we talk about the state of Magic, 40K, Pathfinder, whatever we're playing right now. So we'll just give everybody the heads up on that and have some laughy, jokey conversations. Maybe setting up one later this week, but who knows? I'll keep you guys posted on the Twitter and the Facebook. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful day. And if you're going to a later pre-release, you're still learning them today. So good luck, good packs, and hopefully you do not flood out. So, all right. See you guys later. Oh, I guess I need that line.